up here today. We've got a lot of questions, so we look forward to the interaction at the end of some of the comments that we're going to make. My name is Will Snell. Many of you all probably remember me back in the tobacco days, and I still dabble a little bit with tobacco, but as you all know, I work in ag policy and trade, and kind of all the stuff going on in trade. I'm kind of glad to talk a little bit about hemp here, even though it's probably about as much uncertainty. But, you know, from a policy, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit from a policy standpoint, and then we're going to have Doris Hamilton from the Department of Ag speak to you about the regulatory programs, and then something that I know many of you all are interested in terms of the testing. My colleague Frank from UK will fill in the blanks on the testing procedures. But from a policy standpoint, we all know where all this really began with the 2014 Farm Bill. Provided an opportunity for individual states to develop these pilot programs that many of you all have been participating with over the past few years. It was an exciting time because Kentucky got on board early. I think that's been very important. We were one of the pioneers. Kentucky, Indiana, Vermont, and maybe I think Colorado, the four states that came on board in 2014. At that time, many of you all, just like I saw, this is an opportunity. We've gone through a great period in agriculture where we had high commodity prices and things were booming out there. But I don't have to tell you all in agriculture what has happened since 2014. It's been, Jim, some tough times, certainly for tobacco, but all of our commodities out there. So a lot of excitement in 2014. We're looking at an economist, and sometimes we're noted to be part of the dismal science. So my role in all this is to point out opportunities, but also to talk about the marketplace from both the political standpoint, the regulatory standpoint, and just the overall general market. 2014, personally, again, I looked at opportunities, but at the same time, I looked at countries and regions of the world like Asia that have been producing hemp for thousands of years with very, very inexpensive labor. I looked at Europe, been producing this crop for hundreds of years. Many times, had some subsidies to help their producers along the way. Even our neighbors to the north, in Canada, developed their program in the 90s. They had some ups and downs, but they had experience with genetics, production practices, experimenting, research on various, farming practices. They had infrastructure developed. They had markets out there, primarily the United States, that were able to move products. So again, from my viewpoint, it's like, okay, how can we compete in this commodity world where basically seed and fiber is going to be produced and manufactured, and the winners of that are going to be whoever can produce it at the lowest possible cost. So again, a lot of concerns, but then along the way came this thing called CBD. And I know we're looking across the spectrum for all different products and evolving from the hemp plant, but we all know that it's kind of where the euphoria is right now. It's where most of our acres are. And to be honest with you, it was a game changer out here. And I felt like, especially those of us in Kentucky, had some advantages. Obviously, we had the political clout in D.C. with our senior senator as well as Senator Paul, and we had very active commissioners of ag with Commissioner Comer at that time, and certainly Commissioner Quarles has continued that momentum. So from a political standpoint, we had a lot of momentum. I think we had a lot of momentum in this hemp world just due to what you're seeing here today with the University of Kentucky, as well as our regional universities being very active, involved in basically some pioneering research. Many land-grant universities across the United States are doing research on hemp now, but I think, Frank, it's safe to say that we're ahead of the game here in Kentucky. And the third thing we had going for us, and I think it's a factor, Jim, is the tobacco model. Especially the CBD front, we were able to utilize a lot of our infrastructure, our barns and our equipment. We had a lot of experience in growing tobacco as a labor-intensive crop, a high-value crop, a crop that, certainly involved with a lot of government involvement as well as doing the contracts. Again, we had political momentum, we had research base, we had this tobacco model. And what I think that did brought in a lot of investors. You're going to have somebody to buy this, a lot of infrastructure and processors. So I think those three factors have somewhat given us a leg up, and I think as we move forward, those are going to be some factors that will benefit those of us here in Kentucky and maybe surrounding states as well. Looking at the 2018 Farm Bill, as you all know, we had to clarify, clean up some of the issues evolving from the 14 Farm Bill. One of the things, as you well know, the 2018 Farm Bill kind of redefined what hemp included, and basically all the parts of the plant allowed the floral material, which eventually evolved in basically clarifying the ability to grow CBD in those products. You had the 2018 Farm Bill take hemp off the controlled substance list. You had crop insurance opportunities that were going to evolve. You also had some research opportunities for my colleagues to get some of those federal dollars to learn more about the crop. So a lot of positive factors moving this industry along the way. 2018 Farm Bill also gave USDA the authority to regulate and to oversee the production of this crop. What the 2018 Farm Bill did not do was to relinquish or take away the authority of FDA to regulate the crop. And those of you all follow the hemp industry, David, we know that that's a big question mark where we are today. There was some interaction with the audience in the last group, how fast FDA is moving, when are we going to get some answers, and I can't give you any certainty on that. But as we move forward, and again, you're looking at economists here, and I've tried to look at the supply side and look at the demand side. So the demand side, we'll talk about it here in a second, but what's going to happen on the supply side of this crop? Doris will be here in a few minutes and talk to you about some of the escalation that we've had here in Kentucky. We're partnering with USDA and trying to learn more about what's happening out there in other states. And we're finding and learning that it's just been an explosion of interest. You all, again, know the ag economy. Everybody's looking for that magic bullet. 70-some thousand acres across the U.S. last year. Doris will give you a little bit update on where we are in Kentucky this year. But I think nationally we're probably talking about licensing of 300,000 to 400,000 acres, and probably production of 200,000 to 300,000 acres. So again, the supply side is booming, and you've got, I mentioned 4 states that came on board in 2014 Farm Bill. As of this year, we've had 47 states that have passed legislation, adopted legislation to put in place an industrial hemp program. And probably 10 to 12 states just came on recently. So again, we're going to see an increase in supply. Demand side, the good news is that there has been, and we foresee for the foreseeable future, an expansion on the demand side. And a lot of the demand side. A lot of it's being driven by CBD. We see it everywhere. But again, at the end of the day, you've got FDA, and how is FDA going to treat various food and various medical products out there that contain CBD. Obviously, they're very interested in how it interacts with other drugs that an individual consumer may be taking, and looking at how it might affect the pregnant mom, to the elder, the senior out there, to the youth, how it interacts with other dosages and other prescriptions, and a lot of things that are going to have to come in play. And so much uncertainty that we're facing today really evolves about what's going to happen from the message from FDA. I've told every group today, FDA could really accelerate this market, or FDA could put the brakes on this market. So, as I look from a producer standpoint, several things is I share with you all kind of in closing, and Doris has a good list of things to share with you well from a producer standpoint that I think you'll find get a lot of benefit out of. But again, from a economist standpoint, then I see, even though demand is growing for hemp-related products, that in the short term supply is going to grow much faster. So, when you're doing your budgeting work, and I encourage you, my colleagues up here in the TFA, to develop some budgets. Look at those budgets, put in a price that's 50% less, 25% less, because price is going to come down. So try to do that. I think of the inputs you're looking at, all the way from crop insurance, credit,